Picture this. It's Valentine's Day 1973, Las Vegas. The neon lights are blazing below like earthbound stars, casting their electric glow through the floor-to-ceiling windows of a luxurious Hilton suite. The air is thick with anticipation, expensive cologne, and the lingering smoke from Cuban cigars. The city's pulse thrums 30 floors below, but up here, in this velvet-draped sanctuary above the Strip, something magical is about to happen. Two of the most famous men on planet Earth, men whose names are known in every corner of the globe, whose voices have moved millions, whose very presence can stop traffic, are about to create one of the most legendary moments in entertainment history. Elvis Presley, the undisputed king of rock and roll, stands in his trademark stance, hip-cocked, that famous smile playing at the corners of his mouth. His jumpsuit catches the light from the crystal chandelier above, each rhinestone a tiny spotlight announcing his presence. Across from him, Muhammad Ali, the self-proclaimed greatest boxer of all time, the man who floats like a butterfly and stings like a bee, is about to receive a gift so extravagant, so perfectly Elvis, that it would become the stuff of legend for the next 50 years. But here's where it gets interesting and controversial. That gift, a custom-made boxing robe dripping in rhinestones and costing a jaw-dropping $10,000, that's roughly $65,000 in today's money, carried a message on the back that would spark debates across generations. Internet forums would argue about it, boxing historians would dissect it, and Elvis fans would defend it. The question that still has people furiously typing in comment sections today: what exactly did it say? Was it the people's champion or the people's choice? And why does a single word matter so damn much? This isn't just a story about a gift between celebrities, though God knows we love those stories. This is deeper. This is about respect that transcends genres, about showmanship recognizing showmanship, about how two masters of completely different crafts looked at each other and saw something they understood in their bones. It's about the moment when Vegas glitz met boxing glory, when rhinestones met leather gloves, when the language of rock and roll had a conversation with the poetry of the sweet science. It's a story that has everything a viral moment needs: glamour that makes your jaw drop, mystery that keeps you guessing, friendship that touches your heart, and just enough controversy to make you pick a side. Most importantly, it's a story that continues to captivate us 50 years later because it represents something we've lost. A time when legends could still surprise each other, when gestures were grand and meanings ran deep, when two kings could meet in a room and create magic that would echo through the decades. February 14th, 1973, wasn't just any Valentine's Day in Las Vegas. It was the night the entertainment universe folded in on itself. Elvis Presley was at the absolute stratospheric peak of his Vegas reign, commanding the international Hilton stage like a sequined emperor. Night after night, he sold out shows to audiences who didn't just watch him perform, they worshipped him. His jumpsuit era was in full, glorious swing: rhinestones that caught light like captured lightning, capes that flowed like liquid theater, and theatrical spectacle that no human being before or since has ever matched. Elvis had become more than a performer. He was a living, breathing piece of Americana, a walking myth draped in white leather and rebellion. Meanwhile, 30 floors below the suite where destiny was unfolding, the boxing world was buzzing about Muhammad Ali's legendary comeback story. This wasn't just any athlete clawing his way back to relevance. This was Ali, the man who had sacrificed his prime years for his principles, who had stood up to the U.S. government and lost 3.5 years of his career rather than fight in Vietnam. Now, at 31, he was methodically rebuilding his path to reclaiming the heavyweight championship. fighting his way through contenders with the same poetic brutality that had made him famous. Each fight was a statement. Ali was back, Ali was relevant, and Ali was still the most captivating athlete on the planet. When Ali walked into that chandelier-lit suite, something extraordinary happened, something that witnesses would talk about for decades. Both men, these absolute giants of their respective worlds, were reportedly starstruck by each other. Think about that for a moment. Muhammad Ali, the man who proclaimed himself the greatest with such conviction that the world believed him, suddenly feeling like a fan meeting his hero. Elvis Presley, who had performed for presidents and royalty, lighting up like a teenager getting an autograph. Two performers who commanded the attention of millions around the globe, who could fill stadiums with the snap of their fingers, suddenly measuring each other with the kind of genuine, mutual respect that transcends fame and enters the realm of legend. Ali later described Elvis as the sweetest, most humble, and nicest man you'd want to know. Words that cut straight to the heart of who Elvis was when the cameras stopped rolling and the stage lights dimmed. Meanwhile, Elvis had long admired not just Ali's boxing prowess, but his incredible charisma outside the ring, the way he could work a crowd, command attention, turn every press conference into performance art. Elvis recognized a fellow showman, someone who understood that being truly great meant being great at everything: the talent, the presentation, the connection with the audience, the ability to make people believe in something larger than themselves. But Elvis didn't just want to meet Ali and shake hands like some ordinary celebrity encounter. That wasn't Elvis's style, and it sure as hell wasn't worthy of Ali. Elvis wanted to honor him in the only way the king knew how, through pure, unadulterated, over-the-top spectacle that would make the gesture as memorable as the men themselves. Enter the robe. Not just any piece of clothing, but a masterpiece of Elvis's aesthetic philosophy translated into Ali's world. This was Elvis speaking his native language of rhinestones and dreams, taking the visual vocabulary that had made his jumpsuits iconic and adapting it for the squared circle. Here's where our story takes a fascinating, maddening, absolutely delicious turn that explains why this gift still generates more heated debates in internet comment sections than pineapple on pizza. The back of that legendary rhinestone-encrusted masterpiece was supposed to read "The People's Champion," Ali's well-known hard-earned nickname that perfectly captured his status as far more than just another boxer. He wasn't just a fighter, he was a symbol of resistance, a voice for the voiceless, a man who had literally sacrificed his career prime to stand up for his beliefs about an unjust war. The People's Champion meant something profound. It acknowledged Ali as someone who represented courage, principle, and the willingness to pay any price for what you believe in. But according to multiple first-hand accounts, contemporary reports, and witnesses who were there that glittering February night, something went spectacularly wrong. The robe actually read "The People's Choice," just one word different, one single, solitary word. But in the age of social media, viral fact-checking, and comment section warfare, that one word has launched literally thousands of arguments, corrections, counter-corrections, and passionate defenses from fans on both sides of the debate. Was it a mistake by the craftsman who created this rhinestone masterpiece? Picture some poor seamstress in a Las Vegas costume shop, working by lamplight to get every crystal perfect, misreading Elvis's handwritten instructions. Or was it a miscommunication between Elvis and his people, a game of telephone that turned champion into choice, somewhere between conception and creation? Maybe Elvis himself preferred the softer, less politically charged choice over the more confrontational champion. Remember, this was 1973, when Ali's anti-war stance was still controversial, when some Americans still saw him as unpatriotic rather than prophetic. The plot thickens like a noir movie when you realize this mistake wasn't some later misremembering or internet mythology. It was documented in real time, broadcast to millions of people as it happened. During Ali's fight against Ken Norton in San Diego on March 31st, 1974, the television commentator specifically mentioned the robe's origin story, described its astronomical cost, and clearly stated that the lettering read, "The People's Choice." This wasn't some fan's fuzzy memory decades later. This wasn't some Wikipedia editor's error. This was live televised confirmation that the Robe said what people claimed it said. But here's where the story gets even more beautifully complicated, like the best mysteries always do. Some boxing historians and Elvis scholars argue that contemporary news reports from 1973 actually described it as the People's Champion, suggesting that maybe the TV commentator got it wrong, or maybe there were multiple robes, or maybe the whole thing has been one giant decades-long misunderstanding. Museum exhibitions displaying Ali memorabilia have sometimes described the inscription as "champion" in their captions, either correcting what they believe was an error or simply conveying the spirit of Elvis's intended message. The internet, bless its obsessive heart, never forgets and never forgives such ambiguity. Social media posts about the robe regularly devolve into passionate arguments about the exact wording, with Elvis fans defending the king's intentions, boxing purists insisting on historical accuracy, and conspiracy theorists suggesting cover-ups. The debate has taken on a life of its own, becoming almost more famous than the original gift. But here's the beautiful, perfect irony that makes this whole controversy so deliciously meaningless and completely meaningful at the same time. The message transcended the wording completely. Whether Elvis intended champion or the robe delivered choice, whether it was a mistake or a deliberate decision, the meaning was crystal clear to everyone in that room and everyone who witnessed its later appearances. The king of rock and roll was publicly crowning Muhammad Ali as the people's hero, using his own language of rhinestones, spectacle, and pure showmanship to say what a simple handshake or spoken compliment never could. The real magic, the moment that transformed this from celebrity gift-giving into pure theatrical history, happened when Muhammad Ali made a decision that proved he understood exactly what Elvis was trying to say. That very same night, February 14th, 1973, just hours after receiving this rhinestone masterpiece, Ali decided to wear the robe for his fight against Joe Bugner at the Las Vegas Convention Center. Picture the scene: the arena buzzing with anticipation, the crowd settling into their seats, the preliminary fights creating that electric atmosphere that only live boxing can generate. Then the lights dim for the main event, and into that spotlight steps Muhammad Ali, transformed into something that had never existed before. A boxer dressed like a Vegas headliner. Under those blazing arena lights, every single rhinestone caught and reflected illumination like 1,000 tiny spotlights, turning Ali into a living, breathing constellation of light and movement. The robe didn't just sparkle, it commanded attention, it demanded reverence. It announced that something special was about to happen. This wasn't just Ali being polite about an expensive gift from a famous friend. This was a master showman recognizing another master showman, understanding the language Elvis was speaking, and responding in kind with a gesture of respect that spoke volumes. By wearing it immediately, Ali signaled something profound to everyone watching. He got it. He understood that in both of their worlds, Elvis's stage and Ali's ring, presentation was just as important as performance. The robe transformed Ali's ring entrance from a simple athletic formality into pure theater, elevating the entire fight from mere sporting event to something approaching high art. The crowd's reaction was electric. You could feel the shift in energy, the recognition that they were witnessing something unprecedented, something that blended the worlds of entertainment and athletics in a way that had never been done before. But the Robe's most famous, most documented, and ultimately most tragic appearance came over a year later, during Ali's March 31st, 1974, fight against Ken Norton in San Diego. This time, the television audience got the full treatment, the full Elvis experience channeled through Ali's boxing theater. As Ali made his entrance wearing that glittering masterpiece, the TV commentator provided live narration that would become part of boxing and entertainment folklore. The commentator specifically mentioned the robe's origin story, how Elvis had presented it to Ali in Las Vegas, described its astronomical cost, and, crucially for our ongoing mystery, clearly stated that the inscription read, "The People's Choice." This wasn't some casual mention. The commentator was describing what millions of viewers were seeing, making this moment a permanent part of the historical record. The visual impact was stunning. Under the harsh television lights, the robe seemed to pulse with its own energy, each crystal and rhinestone creating a cascade of light that made Ali appear almost otherworldly. For those few minutes of his ring entrance, Ali looked like what he had always claimed to be. Not just a boxer, but a king in his own right, draped in the kind of spectacle usually reserved for Vegas stages or royal coronations. But fate, as it often does in the best stories, had a cruel twist waiting in the wings. Ali lost that fight to Norton in a brutal, punishing decision that shocked the boxing world. According to boxing lore and several contemporary accounts, that loss gave the magnificent robe an unexpected reputation. It became known in some circles as cursed, a beautiful bearer of bad luck. The superstition wasn't entirely unreasonable. After all, Ali had worn it twice. And while he won the first fight against Bugner, the Norton loss was devastating enough to make even the most rational person wonder about cosmic forces. Some accounts suggest that Ali, ever the showman but also deeply superstitious like many athletes, decided to retire the robe after that defeat. Whether this is true or just another layer of mythology added to an already legendary story, we may never know for certain. But the image of that spectacular robe being carefully folded away, its rhinestones catching light one last time before disappearing into boxing history, adds a poignant note to our tale. The exchange between Elvis and Ali wasn't one-sided either, which makes their mutual respect even more meaningful. Ali reciprocated Elvis's grand gesture with signed boxing gloves, bearing a message that praised Elvis as the greatest. A particularly meaningful compliment coming from a man who had famously proclaimed himself the greatest at everything he touched. In those private backstage moments, with leather gloves and jeweled satin trading places between two legends, we see the ultimate handshake between the worlds of music and boxing, entertainment and athletics, showmanship and sport. 50 years have passed since that magical Valentine's Day night in Las Vegas, and yet the Elvis Ali robe story continues to generate viral content with the relentless power of a cultural perpetual motion machine. It surfaces in documentaries about both men, gets shared millions of times across social media platforms, serves as the perfect clickbait headline that actually delivers on its promise, and sparks passionate debates in comment sections from Facebook to Reddit to TikTok. Type Elvis Robe Muhammad Ali into any search engine and watch the internet explode with articles, videos, forum discussions, and heated arguments that prove this story has achieved something rare in our hyper-connected age. It has become a genuine self-sustaining legend. But why? What is it about this particular intersection of two lives that continues to captivate us decades later? The story has everything a viral moment needs, sure. glamour that makes your jaw drop and your thumb hover over the share button, mystery that keeps you scrolling through comments looking for the real answer, friendship that touches something deep in your heart about human connection, and just enough controversy to make you pick a side and defend it with the passion of a sports fan. But there's something deeper here, something that speaks to what we've lost in our carefully curated, endlessly documented modern world. The inscription debate, champion versus choice, has become emblematic of how legends work in the internet age. In our time of instant fact-checking, screenshot evidence, and viral corrections, this mystery feels almost quaint, like discovering a handwritten letter in a world of text messages. We live in an era where every celebrity interaction is filmed, every gift is unboxed on Instagram, every gesture is analyzed and explained to death before the moment has even ended. The Elvis Ali robe represents something from a different time, a time when legends could still have secrets, when the story mattered more than the exact verifiable facts, when mythology could coexist peacefully with history. And maybe that's exactly why this story resonates so powerfully with each new generation that discovers it. In our world of carefully managed celebrity brands and calculated public gestures, the robe represents something authentically spontaneous. Elvis deciding to honor Ali in the most Elvis way possible, Ali responding by immediately wearing this gift into battle, both men creating something magical without a PR team or social media strategy in sight. It feels real in a way that makes our current celebrity culture seem manufactured by comparison. The story also represents something we desperately miss: the possibility of genuine surprise between legends. When was the last time two cultural icons at the absolute peak of their powers surprised each other with gestures of pure, unfiltered respect? When did you last see two masters of completely different crafts recognize something transcendent in each other and act on that recognition in a way that created lasting magic? In our compartmentalized world where musicians stay in music lanes and athletes stick to athletic endorsements, the idea of Elvis and Ali finding common ground feels revolutionary. Whether the robe said "the people's champion" or "the people's choice" ultimately doesn't matter, and that's the most beautiful part of this entire saga. What matters is what it represented in that moment, and what it continues to represent now. Two masters of their crafts recognizing greatness in each other, using the languages they knew best: spectacle, respect, and pure, unashamed showmanship, to create something that transcended both of their individual worlds. Elvis crowned Ali with rhinestones and crystals, transforming a simple gift into a coronation ceremony conducted in the universal language of glitter and dreams. Ali accepted that crown by wearing it into battle, turning each ring entrance into a moment of theater that honored both men's understanding of what it means to be truly great. The robe became a bridge between worlds that had never touched before: Vegas, meeting, boxing, music shaking hands with athletics, the king blessing the greatest in a moment of pure, unrehearsable magic. As Ali himself said years later, with the wisdom that comes from outliving your legends and understanding their true value, people don't realize what they had till it's gone. My man Elvis Presley. Under those arena lights, a jeweled word, whether champion or choice, glowed on satin while crowds roared for a fighter blessed by a king. In the end, that's the only inscription that really matters. A friendship written in rhinestones, preserved in legend, and shared forever in the viral stories we can't stop telling because they remind us of a time when giants walked among us, and sometimes, just sometimes, they recognized each other's greatness and celebrated it in ways that took your breath away. This is why the story endures, why it spreads, why it matters. In a world where everything feels calculated and nothing feels spontaneous, the Elvis Ali robe reminds us that legends used to surprise each other, And in doing so, they surprised us all.